the theoretical class. That's the idea. Yeah. Hi everybody, tonight we have our normal class and well, we are going to stay tonight here. I'm going to try to work on this and well, patience. We have 5 minutes, so let's wait a minute. Hi everybody, how are you? How was your day, your weekend? Angelica, Dennis, Karen, Luis, welcome tonight. Hi Gabriela, welcome.
Good night, Doc.
Hi. Well, today we are taking the current class because if we don't do this, we're going to miss a complete week at the end, and it's not viable. I mean, that's why I was asking for in the group, and well, nobody says that it was not possible, or maybe a personal situation. That's why I decided to call everybody. Okay, if you want, we can start now, or if you prefer, we can wait for a little bit. That's okay for me. I'll start sharing the slides. The principal one, okay? Let me know, can you watch my screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So let's wait. Well, it's a long session because we have two important topics to talk about: the nervous system, mental illness, blood, and oncology, just a general view as we are doing at this moment because of the quantity of vocabulary. And we're taking the common phrases, the common vocabulary in order to improve this, like the rest of the classes. And of course, taking it in account, we can complete all our topics, okay? So okay, let me see if somebody else can. Okay. Let me share again. Okay. Can you watch my screen now? I shared it again.
Yes, Doc.
Okay. Thanks for being on time. Let's start. I think your classmates might come during the class, and then we are going to take assistance. So, as I was telling you, tonight we have lots of information to check. Let me close my door. Okay, I mean, with this information, of course, we are going to consider all of the new topics that we are going to check, to review. And well, as you know, the nervous system and the psychiatric disorders are very huge. There's a lot of information about it. A lot. And trying to make a brief resume, it's not easy because we are taking around in one session, in 1 hour, more or less 1 and 20 minutes, I think, around 1 year of studies, maybe, or even maybe more, because that's a lot of information. In that order, we have to consider this and take into account that when I was preparing the slides, it was not as easy to check the material as it's supposed to be. So if you consider that there needs more attention or more vocabulary in a specific topic or about a specific situation during this presentation, please let me know by a message in the group, and then I'm gonna send the vocabulary, okay? And well, for practicing, for catching more ideas, I mean, and taking into account that it's important for everybody, this kind of vocabulary, okay? So in that way, let's go ahead. When we talk about the nervous system, we must consider how important it is, how important it has for all of the body, and of course the control it gets for all the systems could be, and all the functions we have during our body. I'm sorry, closed by an accident. So we know during the med school that brain has the two lobes, that division that is showing us, how can I say that? That is showing us how it really works. I mean, the right brain and the left brain with all of these attitudes, that is actions that are controlled, are practical, are strategic, that are related to the science. Theoretically, it's in that way. It's accurate, it's analytic. And the right brain, it's the creative one. I said it's following the literature, that way of division. And well, we have to consider that when sometimes when we get a situation, we lose a part of the brain, the other side assumes the functions, I mean, and it's proved by many surgical procedures and experience into medicine, because we all know that medicine is not 2 + 2 and 4. Medicine is always is a new way of talking and working. And moreover, everything is different for each one, and we have to take it in account. We have our anatomical review. And well, of course, it's homework. That's why the red guy is showing us this situation, okay? Please check the vocabulary, the cerebellum, the brainstem, the spinal cord, right cerebral hemisphere, and the left cerebral hemisphere in this first slide, and consider all the vocabulary we are going to start working on, okay? We're starting doing, and we have to check all of this. Going with detail, we have the neuron anatomy, the cell with all of the anatomical details and all the structures that is showing us how it works. And of course, well, the exactly terms we might memorize and practice in order to get the correct information. Going ahead, we have this slide that is for information. The types of neurons and their functions. The ACE neurons with the neuron functions. We have the ACE, afferent neurons, connecting neurons, and efferent neurons. We have here in parentheses the pronunciation, okay? And then the SAM, the sensory neurons, associative neurons, and the motor neurons. So all of this information in the chart, take it in account for reading, for practicing the pronunciation, and taking more vocabulary, new one. There's no trouble for me. If there's a question out of the class or out of the workshop, you can send a message. I was telling you all the course with all the confidence that it's evolved. Here we have the nervous system, a general view of this, of course, with the principal nerves through the body, the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system, okay? Check the names, consider this, And well, as I was telling you, check how to write it down and how to practice with this. And going ahead, we have another picture showing us a cross section of the brain, showing the meninges and the protective coverings with more vocabulary, more ways of writing down correctly without missing that information. Please study this. Of course, I'm going to send it in homework during the weekend. We have more structures to check in, to practice and memorize. I'm sorry, memorize at this point is of course important. And now we have the major parts of the brain, the most important ones. Check how they are written down. For example, the hypothalamus and the corpus callosum, for example, the pituitary gland and the brainstem with the midbrain, pons, and medulla, and all of the structures that are involved. Going ahead, in this slide, we have the brain parts and their functions. Of course, the cerebrum, the thalamus, hypothalamus, cerebellum, and brainstem. Here we have the information, the general one, a general view of them, giving us the most important parts. So read this, practice this. It's more vocabulary to check and to begin using. For example, talking about the cerebellum, is located in the lower back of the cranium, below the cerebrum, below the brain, coordinates muscular activity and balance from smooth and steady movements. So it's just for practicing and catching the functions in the correct expression, okay? Now we have the cranial nerves showing us all of the structures and the way they are, if they are sensory or they are motor, and then taking in account the vocabulary, the ways of working, of course, homework for memorizing and checking. We are not going to read everything because it's too much and there's not too much time. Yeah, we have to consider that too. Now we have this chart that is showing us the dermatome versus the myotome. We all know the difference, the dermatomes and the myotomes, and the anatomical references in this picture, in this slide. And now we have specific characteristics for reading. A dermatome refers to an area of skin innervated by the nerves from a single spinal root. A myotome refers to a group of muscles innervated by the nerves of a single spinal root. So we check the difference of this. Some consists of overlapping regions innervated by more than one spinal nerve. Some are innervated by more than one spinal nerve. So you can see there's a way of doing this. And study the slides, check the vocabulary. And I have another chart for checking more details about the spinal cord plexus and well, with the correct vertebra and the details of the vertebral column with its division. So until this moment, all the anatomical review, I think, is clear. Just memorize and practice the way of writing down. Now we have the parasympathetic nerves and sympathetic nerves. And consider this is general view, general structure of this slide. Again, it's homework for, again, I'm memorizing and practicing the vocabulary. And well, we have to go ahead. And now we have this structure, this slide that is, I think, important for us. Combining forms and functions of the nervous system. I mean, with the major structures, we must check and evaluate the brain, the spinal cord, the nerves, the sensory organs and receptors, eyes, ears, nose, skin, and there's one miss. I don't know what it is not here. And tongue, it's not here, but I'm going to check before sending you. I'm correct this picture, but anyway. Talking about the brain, the related combining forms are the cerebro/o, cerebro, or encephalo. And the primary functions coordinates all body activities by receiving and transmitting messages throughout the body. The spinal cord, the related combining form, miel or mielo, and the primary function transmits nerve impulses between the brain, arms and legs, and lower part of the body. About the nerves, the related combining forms, the neuri or neuro, depending on the situation, right? Receive and transmit messages to and from all parts of the body. And the sensory organs and receptors, it doesn't have a specific combining form because it's changing through the writing form and the description, usually using these prefixes and combining forms, okay? Primary functions, of course, receive external stimulation and transmit the stimuli to the sensory neurons. We all know this just for checking vocabulary and making a brief remind. The word parts, of course, we all know this. We have the prefixes and the suffixes that we are talking all of the chorus with the systems. And we have to check the cause, the burning, cerebrum or brain, concuss, shaking together, violently agitated, contuso, the bruise, encephal, brain, stasia, sensation, feeling, steto, feeling, nervous sensation, sense of perception, graphy, the process of producing a picture or record, meaning or meningo, membranes, meninges, miel or mielo, spinal cord, bone marrow, neuri or neuro, nerve tissue, phobia, abnormal fear, psych, mind, radicule or radiculo, root or nerve root, tropic, having an affinity for. So checking these meanings and watching how we can use this word part for making or for deducting the vocabulary, it's going to be easier to work, okay? Now let's go to the most common points of view, I think, inside this topic. As I was telling you at the beginning, it's not easy to make a resume about this. And we have to check the vocabulary that it's indeed in almost all of the most common situations during with our patients' evaluations. Gabriela, can you listen to me? Gabriela.
Yes,
Hi, can you read this slide, please?
of course. Examination of the nervous system normally includes testing the deep tendon reflex. For example, the knee jerks with a tendon hammer, also known as a reflex hammer.
Perfect. So you can see in black and words the vocabulary that is for practicing, for memorizing, okay? And well, we all know how to do it. We are in the med school. We are maybe during the med school at this moment, but we have the basis for working on this. So let's go ahead. We have this slide showing us the scale of the tendon reflexes. And again, in black and words, how to report our findings, I mean. Okay, Natalia, can you listen to me?
Yes, teacher. Sure.
Hi, Natalia. Can you, yes, perfect. Can you read this slide, please?
Yes, teacher. The reflexes might be absent, diminished, normal, or brisk. The plantar reflexes are also checked. The normal plantar response is a downgoing movement, plantar flexion of the big toe. An outgoing toe extensor or Babinski response is abnormal.
Thank you so much. So you can see the absent, diminished, normal, or brisk. Plantar reflexes are also checked using the downgoing movement, upgoing movement, or the Babinski response as abnormal. So for checking this, for practicing this, it's important to memorize, okay? Now we have a information slide. Oh, I'm sorry. An information slide just showing us again the grades and how the findings could be reported, or the idea of making the correct interpretation just for information, but checking this, we have some details, we have some information to evaluate, to memorize, okay? Going ahead. Again, we have another information slide for practicing, for reading, and checking the deep tendon reflex, the specific words we are using of this. Then we have the muscle involved, the nerve supply, and the root supply. So we can check this anatomical detail and, of course, not losing the information while evaluating our patients, okay? I mean, just information, and well, I think it's important to have this anatomical review and these anatomical ways. Talking about the motor system, we have to consider that it's the examination of the motor system should include assessment of the following: muscle bulk, amount of muscle tissue, and look for signs of wasting, muscle atrophy, okay? We can see a normal muscle, good shape, and the atrophied muscle. It's, of course, smaller. We all know this difference. Talking about the muscle tone, we can say that it's the amount of tension in a muscle when it's relaxed. The tone can be increased with spasticity, so you can check an active muscle, an inactive muscle. We all know these situations and causes maybe said that way, okay, but practice about it. We don't have any option, we must memorize. Moreover, we have the muscle power, the strength. It's not more information, it's clear the idea, I think. And now we have coordination. With coordination, we have to consider this very important function that sometimes we lose and don't evaluate as a current by the meaning to perform complex actions. For example, gait, the manner of walking, the gait reflexes. In these pictures, we have some exercise for evaluating the coordination in a patient. Just as an example, it's not an obligated way of following this. And now we have the involuntary movements. I hope it could be seen. Well, we have the types of involuntary movements. We have tremors. We have myoclonus. We have tics. We have atetosis. We have tardive dyskinesia. So considering this, Now we have a definition and the differences. The spasm versus twitch. Karen, can you listen to me?
Yes, miss.
Karen. Hi, Karen. Can you read this slide, please?
Yes, spam versus
Karen.
switch definition. Spam. Muscular spam is a long contraction resulting in chronic pain. Twitch muscle twitch is a short contraction resulting in mild pain and can be seen below the skin. Contraction span long and persistent, and twitch short and mild. Pain span greater pain in comparison to a twitch. Twitch relatively less.
Okay, thank you so much. Well, I just, taking a parenthesis of the class, I just received a message from Zoom. Please, if the session goes away, get into with the same link, okay? I don't know what's happening with this. If it's not my computer, it's Zoom, but we are going to have a problem, I think. So I'm sorry, if it goes away, please come back with the same link, okay? Let's try to go ahead. At this moment, we were checking lots of vocabulary, I mean, some of new words and ways of reporting these situations. And we have this situation, this case report for practicing. And it says, I need maybe, Alejandro, can you listen to me?
Yes.
Thank you, Alejandro. Can you read this slide, please?
Yes. On examination, her face showed little or no expression. There was a tremor affecting mainly her right hand. She had generally increased muscle tone. Power reflexes, coordination, and sensation were within normal limits. Examination of her gait showed that she was slow to start walking and had difficulty stopping and turning.
Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, Alejandro. So you can see, we are using the black and words as the way of reporting these kind of situations. The way that are correctly admitted, I mean, for giving the correct idea and the meaning for the situation we are describing of a patient. She has generally increased muscle tone, so you can see generally increased within normal limits. There are expressions that we don't use just with the nervous system. We can use for all of the rest of the systems, but specifically with this, we have to take it in account because we are talking about details for life or living. That's important not to mix these ways of expressions of talking and ways of reporting our findings. And you can see we are using a specific medical vocabulary as gait that we are checking from the first slide presentation that I sent to you, and that it was appearing through the time and on this during the course, okay? So consider this way of talking. Going ahead. We have the motor loss. The motor loss symptoms and signs include weakness, the loss of power, paralysis, complete loss of power, the tremor, involuntary rhythmic movement, especially of hands, abnormal gait, unusual manner of walking. So taking in account these specific 4 ways of expression of findings, of signs that we use, we can start taking the ideas of the most common symptoms, and we are going to describe it during the rest of the class. For example, we have this slide and talking about the speech, and it says speech may also be affected, for example, with hoarseness, a rook, the voice, as in vocal cord paralysis, or slurred speech. That means poor articulation, as in cerebellar disease. So you can see more vocabulary to catch and meaning and memorize. And then we have this picture, the symptoms of aphasia, showing us the trouble speaking clearly, trouble understanding speech, trouble writing clearly, trouble understanding written words, trouble remembering words, and trouble remembering object names. We all know this situation in Spanish. I think we all have a patient like this during our practice, medical practice. And we have to take it in account because it's an important way of practicing, and understanding the situations with our patients. So, considering this idea, now we have more vocabulary to practice, more vocabulary to memorize, more meanings to memorize, okay? Now we have another information slide, now talking about the Parkinson's disease. That it's talking about, that is about the primary motor, the secondary motor, and the premotor cells, or nerves, I'm sorry. And it's punctualizing on the losses, on the symptoms we can check in a patient. For example, the primary motor. Luis, can you listen to me? Luis Gerardo.
Yes, teacher.
Hi, Luis, can you read the primary motor column, please?
Primary motor.
Yeah, just primary
Tremor.
motor.
Tremor is presented in the first signs of PD. Bradypnea, slow movements indicating reduction of spontaneous movement. Rigidity, inflexibility in the extremities, neck and trunk. Postural instability, tendency to be unstable when placed vertically.
Thank you, Luis. Thank you so much. So you can see here we have tremor, bradykinesia, rigidity, and the postural instability. Okay. Going to the secondary motor nerve. Ivana, can you listen to me?
Yes.
Hi, can you read the secondary motor column, please?
Okay. The freezing of gait, important signal of the PD that he does not explain by the rigidity or bradykinesia. Micrograph, contraction, or the patient fears. Lack of facial expressions. Festivity uncontrollable, acceleration in the march.
Okay, thank you so much. So you can see the freezing of gait, the micrograph, the lack of facial expression, and the festivity. More symptoms to check, signs, findings to check, to evaluate, and to memorize. And the premotor nerve, the loss of sense of smell, constipation, sleep disorder, the mood disorder, low blood pressure when standing, orthostatic hypotension. So you can check this information slide. Has lots of vocabulary to check, to practice and memorize, and of course practice. So talking about the Parkinson's disease, I thought it was important to check because of the vocabulary that it's important to describe it in a correct way. Talking about the sensory loss, we have some functions that here in this chart I'm describing. The function